And as a minister of the gospel, I find it very disconcerting that now the forces and the powers that be are trying to bring the fight, the culture war, to us, and we are now to be the deliverers of the message of globalism upon our people. And many of you don't realize, maybe, and I'm sure some of this audience probably does, that not too many months ago, an invitation went out to the various members of the clergy inviting us to hold meetings within our own congregation in the which that we would ask them, or should I say instruct them, that in a time of martial law, in a time of national emergency, in which case the personal firearms of the American people would ask to be surrendered, that we, the pastors and clergymen of America, were supposed to stand up in our churches and we were supposed to encourage our congregations to voluntarily surrender their firearms to the government for the greater good, etc., etc. There are actually instruction manuals, and there have been instructional meetings that have been taking place around the country in which clergymen and pastors have been instructed on how to do this. In fact, the government officials have even given the sermon outlines to the preacher brethren as to the scriptures that they're supposed to use in these addresses, not the least of which is Romans chapter 13. And we're supposed to get up in front of our congregations, and we're supposed to quote Romans 13, and we're supposed to say to our congregations now, ladies and gentlemen, it's a national emergency, and therefore you should surrender your firearms to the government. Well, when I found out about this, I stood in front of my congregation and I made them aware of what we were being asked to do. I shared with them the information that was being asked of us and the reasons behind it, etc., etc. And then I told my congregation, I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that not only am I asking you to surrender your firearms under any circumstances, but I am suggesting that you go to your nearest gun dealer, and if you don't know where one is, I can recommend one to you, and go purchase your own firearm if you do not have one. And if you already have one, go buy another one. But we have come to the point in America today, whenever we have traded the principles of liberty for the ideology of the utopians and the power elitists, which again, the goal is the subjugation of the American people upon the altar of global government. I really believe with all of my heart, and I believe I know Tom's heart as well, and I believe that he would concur with this statement, that our country is this close to losing our precious freedoms and liberties, to losing our very constitutional form of government. And if the United States of America, the people, when I say the United States, I'm talking about we, the people. Because this is still, no matter what anybody else will say or write, this is still a nation of, by, and for the people. It is not a nation of, by, and for the government. And if we, the people, do not stand up now energetically, enthusiastically, dogmatically, and fight for those principles, I am not sure that those principles will prevail very much longer. I really do believe that we are in the 11th hour of freedom and national sovereignty here in our country. And it is people like you and I that are going to have to stand in the gap, and I thank God for each and every one of you, by the way. Many of you I know, some of you I've just met for the first time, some of you I know by reputation. But I know that this is a group of people that are involved in whatever your particular issue is. We are all battling the same enemy. We are battling the forces of globalism. We are battling the forces of those folks that would seek to intrude upon the basic principles upon which our country was built. I thank you for what you are doing, and I just want to encourage you to keep up the fight. And I want you to know this too. I believe that there is a growing movement of people within this country that are beginning to awaken as to the danger that is confronting us. they may not totally understand what that danger is. They may not have been able to define it. They may not have the natural instinct to be able to go to such and such a paragraph and such a book and say, there it is. But they know instinctively that something is wrong. And when someone like Ron Paul or myself or you and your organization comes along and we begin to share with them the truth of these ideas, it resonates in their heart and they say, yes, that's exactly right.